Okay, I am going live on both YouTube and Instagram, so give me a second. We're going to be talking about how to teach our kids quietness. Let me get this button to work. How to teach our kids quietness. And it is not letting me, so I will just do it twice. Teaching our kids quietness. This is such a huge thing. I was watching a show, and this older gentleman was walking with his son. His wife had recently passed away, and he suddenly stops in his tracks to look at this flower. And he says, Abigail used to accuse me of not taking in the mundane. His wife was one that noticed the little things, the nature, listening to the birds, the sunsets, stillness. And this gentleman spent his whole life hurried and busy and concerned and frustrated and just drama. And he had missed on this having a spirit of quietness. By the end of this video, I'm going to give you 6 reasons why we need to teach our kids quietness, stillness, and I'm going to teach you how. So why stillness? This world is so full of noise. Our kids and us, we suffer from scoliosis, right? We constantly are looking at screens or listening to noise. We can't even get in the car or go to the beach or the park without turning on the radio and listening to music, streaming music live, putting in our earbuds when we go for a run and listening to podcasts and audiobooks and playlists and the like. So silence is something that is desperately needed. Desperately needed. For our kids, silence brings a few major benefits. The first thing is it teaches our kids to be self-reflective. It's how they settle into their identity, is they're able to see themselves because there's no distraction, there's no noise, there's nobody telling them something different. The second thing that silence and quietness does is it gives our kids space to tap into their creativity. When there's too much busy, too much to do, too much noise, our kids never get to the other side of boredom, which is where creativity lives. So that second piece is one of my favorite pieces of quietness, and that is it taps into teaching our kids not teaching them, but giving them the opportunity to be creative. The third thing is it helps our kids tap into this thing called emotional intelligence. Oh my goodness, go get yourself a copy of Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It is worth studying. And if you have older kids, it's worth your older kids studying it as well. So we've got self-reflection, we've got creativity, we've got emotional intelligence. The fifth thing that stillness and quietness gives our kids is it gives them a sense of independence. They can practice independence as they're practicing stillness, practicing quiet. It is a missing quality in today's world. And the last thing, that being okay in silence, being okay in quiet, is that it gives this peace, that feeling of it's stillness. And it is the most precious gift that we can give our kids in this crazy, busy world. So we know that silence is necessary. We know that quietness is necessary. So how do you build this in? Because I can tell you that with the homeschool moms that I coach all the time, that there is this lack of breathing room in many people's lives. So the first thing to understand is that quietness and stillness will not just happen. There is too much going on in the world, and there is an enemy of your soul that wants to steal your joy and steal your peace. So there's always going to be a dog barking, somebody driving up into your driveway, kids screaming in the background, music playlists that endlessly go, right? The YouTube videos that just go on and on and on and on, and all the like. There's always going to be distraction. So, number one, you have to be intentional with building in quietness and stillness. And a lot of moms, a lot of dads, but a lot of moms that I talk to are uncomfortable with silence. They're uncomfortable with quietness. So you need to kind of do a self assessment. Are you comfortable with a half an hour or an hour of just stillness, right? And make sure that you are prioritizing this in your own life as well. But how do you teach this to your kids? There's two different stages. The first one is if your kids are little and they're still napping, they're taking that afternoon nap. Once they grow, now in our house, our kids graduated from nap time on their 5th birthday. You heard me right. I did not say that they slept for 5 years during that time, but there was a designated nap time until their 5th birthday. Sometime around the age of 18 months, a lot of kids will pretend that they no longer need a nap. And a lot of young parents, especially, decide, well, they don't need that nap anymore. So they take that away and fill it with busyness. I'm going to encourage you to start speaking this over your children. Have them go down for nap time. Tell them you do not need to fall asleep, but you do need to lie still during this time because rest is good. If your body takes over, because sometimes it will, and if you fall asleep, I promise you, I will wake you up after nap time is over and you won't miss a thing. What happens with kids is their bodies are changing, they're growing, and there are days where they just don't feel like sleeping. But being still is something that they still need to practice. And even your kids that are most resistant to sleeping during nap time will sometimes fall asleep 1 to 3 times a week. Be careful. If you promise them that you're going to wake them up if they fall asleep, make sure that you do that. Have a designated period of time that kids are napping and then a designated end time for nap so that they trust you, right? Otherwise, they're going to fight it even more. So if your kids are napping, the natural extension is that once they outgrow their naps, you still keep that pocket of time, but you keep it as silent time, as quiet time. No screens, no music, no toys that make noise, just quiet time. And what you do is you have them in a space by themselves, just like they would be if they were taking a nap. You have them, and if you don't, we didn't have bedrooms for all of our kids. We stacked them, we racked them and stacked them, just like in the Navy. So our kids shared rooms. During quiet time, we would split the kids up. Somebody would be assigned to be on our bed. Somebody would be assigned to one room. Somebody would be assigned to another room. We had a covered porch. Somebody would be assigned to that covered porch. But it was a naturally trained in pocket of time where the kids were given some books, or they could choose books, or quiet activities that they would do during that time. And it was silent. There was no talking. There was no running to go get a drink of water. We did potty before quiet time, so there was nobody up rushing back and forth to the bathroom. It was enforced quiet time. Can you imagine, Mama, what that does for you if you have an hour every day that your kids are independent and your house is quiet? You need to do the same thing. Detach from screens, detach from music, detach from the noise and the chaos of the day. Close your eyes for a few minutes after your kids are trained. So when your kids are little, it just is a natural extension. So nap time, yeah, and yes, train in nap time. Hold on to nap time for as long as possible. But then when nap time, when they outgrow that, just roll that into quiet time and have it be a an hour of timed silence in the day. Now, some of you are thinking, Becky, my kids are like 9 and 10, and we've never done nap time. We've never done quiet time. So, what would you say to us? If your house is super chaotic and your kids are older, you're going to sit down with your kids and you're going to have a meeting and you're going to say, we're going to start practicing having quiet time. And we're going to build up to where we have an hour of silence every day. No talking, no singing, no music, no screens, right? But it's going to be hard for mom. So we're going to do it slowly. It's going to take us 2 to 3 weeks to build up to an hour. So we're going to start with 10 minutes and then you're going to set a timer. Everybody's going to go to their spot and everybody's going to be still for 10 minutes. And when that timer goes off, you go get them. Don't push it. And every day or every few days, extend the time until you have an hour of quiet and silence in the day. This is going to give you, as a parent, so much peace and so much exhale, but it's going to do so much for your children, building self-reflection, and it's going to strengthen their sense of who they are. They're going to be more creative. They're going to develop a stronger emotional intelligence. They're going to be more independent and they're going to be still. This time, as kids grow, they're 5, 15, 20, 30, and older. That practiced quiet time will be some of their most refreshing pockets of time. It'll be when they come up with the idea for their novel. It'll be when they sculpt and play with clay outside where it's messy and it's okay. It'll be where they just simply put their feet up and rest in a hammock. What a precious gift that you're going to give to your kids. So, how to teach your kids quietness, purposeful, practice by design.